Hello, my name is Jack and this is Entertainment World. I am really sorry for the long period between my previous video and this video. I took a few days off and then some friends came down and then took a couple more days off, so by the time I edit this as well, it'll have been even longer. So I apologise for doing this, like the big break and gap between them. So I still hope you enjoy this video and you should enjoy the other few as well. Anyway, today I will be talking about The Dark Knight Rises, which is the third and final instalment in the Dark Knight trilogy. It was directed by Christopher Nolan, written by Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan, and the story was by Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer. So it was the same people who did the previous, films. It's their trilogy still. And this film is about Bruce Wayne, who has stopped being Batman for 8 years after the events of The Dark Knight, due to the psychological damage and physical damage to his body after he fell off the building, saving Commissioner Gordon's son from Harvey Dent. And it's about him trying to come back to being Batman to face the new villain, Bane, played by Tom Hardy. This is generally considered the worst film in the Dark Knight trilogy. I don't think it's bad, still one of my favourite films, but it is generally considered the worst one. As I like to get them out of the way, I will be talking about the negatives first, and then I can talk about the positives. I will then, afterwards, after giving my grading, I'll go into the analysis, going into some more spoilers. But to begin with, I will be doing the normal non-spoilery stuff. So if you haven't watched the film, you can watch this part. Once I give the grading, I recommend you watch the film and then go back to this video, come back to this video to watch the analysis bit. Okay, cool. So starting off with the negatives, again, like the previous two films, it is very long. I think it's something like 2 hours 50 minutes. There isn't a lot of humour. It is quite dark, so if you're looking for a fun, cool, funny superhero film, again, this isn't probably the film for you. But if you watched the previous two films and then expected, it to be light-hearted, cool, funny, quite, you look at these superheroes, that's more your problem if I'm being honest than the film's fault. So, that's your fault. But yeah, and the other one, it is quite a lot. There's a lot going on very quickly, and it is a very large-scale film. There is, a lot of stuff going on. And I think that a lot of people didn't like that as much. Personally, again, I don't dislike it. I'm just saying that's a negative that a lot of people had with it. And I will agree with this. This film does have one of the worst deaths I have ever seen in any film. It was really bad, and they probably should have definitely done another take. But I won't spoil whose it was. I was just telling you that it was, to expect that in the film at some point. Anyway, now the positives. Again, like the previous two, in my opinion, got a really short negative list, and then on to the positives. Okay, so the returning cast, so Christian Bale, Gary Oldman, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, all really good. They're great, they play the roles really well. Christian Bale is he does a lot of emotional stuff in this film, a lot of it. And he's really good at it. He's older Batman. He's no longer Batman at the beginning of the film. He's broken. He's tired. He hates himself and everyone else, and he just wants to go back to being Batman, to what it was when he started out, sort of thing. And Michael Caine, Alfred, is like, no, you shouldn't do this. You're no longer Batman. Your body's not what it was. You are not what you were. You shouldn't do this. Don't go back to it. And there's a lot of emotional stuff with them. Whilst Morgan Freeman's Lucius Fox is like, no, go on, be Batman. I've got loads of new equipment. Come on. He's bored. He's actually bored. So he's like, yeah, go on, be Batman again. And Gary Oldman is again more like Bruce Wayne. He's a bit tired. It's 8 years has passed since the events of the last film. The crime rate is not what it was, so he doesn't really have much of a job. and he's just sad that he let Batman take the fall for Harvey Dent's actions, and he wishes he hadn't done that, but he knows why he needed to do it, and he's just fed up of living like this lie, this perfect world built on a false idol, Harvey Dent. He's just tired and sad and fed up of it all, of everything else, with what everyone else is doing. The new cast members, Gordon Joseph Levitt, I think his name is, plays Detective Blake, who is a rookie policeman who's part of the GCPD, who is actually a big believer in the Batman. He's a supporter of the Batman. He doesn't believe that Harvey Dent murdered. That Batman murdered Harvey Dent. You know, he's right there. Again, Tom Hardy, I've already mentioned him as the villain Bane, is fantastic, and he's actually probably one of his most iconic roles, well, or if not his most iconic role, because he doesn't look like Tom. It doesn't look like Tom Hardy at all. You know, he's much bigger than he is in every other film. He's got no hair. He's got obviously the mask and the voice. So when you're watching him, you don't think, oh, it's Tom Hardy. You think, oh, it's big scary guy. Please stay away from me, sort of thing. It's that feeling. So he's really good in that film. In the film. Anne Hathaway, in my opinion, is great. She plays Selina Kyle, also known as Catwoman, although she is actually never called Catwoman in this film, though a newspaper article does refer to her as the Cat. And she's great. I love her and Bruce's sort of relationship, well, her and Batman's. You know, there's the relationship between Selina Kyle and Bruce, and the Cat and the Batman, and I love the way the film deals with that scenario, that relationship. Who else is in the film that's new? Oh yeah, I think Marion Cotillard, I don't know how to say say a name, sorry. I'm not sure the pronunciation, or even I can't remember how to spell it either, so I can't even guess it. But yeah, she is also in the film, and she is quite cool as well. She plays Miranda Tate, who is this bit woman who owns a company. She's in charge of her own company, but did a merger with Wayne Enterprises to build a clean energy project, so renewable energy without any harm to the environment. But unfortunately, the reactor that will create the energy can be turned into a bomb, and that's why Bruce Wayne then said, no, we're not doing it. And that happens, but you don't see that had happened before the events of the film. And he, said, no, we're not doing it, and he's hidden it. But because he did that, her company and his company, but mostly his company, have lost a lot of money in that project, because obviously if you put so much money into making this big reactor that can create all the energy for the world needs, and then decide to not use it and just put it in the basement almost, of course your company is going to lose a lot of money. So yeah, the new cast are good, the old cast of course are good. The direction again, this film, Christopher Nolan does a lot of beautiful shots. This film has an incredible opening. Even though personally I prefer the Dark Knight's opening because of what's going on, this film from a technical aspect is probably the best opening ever made. I mean, Christopher Nolan even said it's his favourite sequence he ever made. He says it's the best sequences he ever made, it's the one he's most proud of, and I can see why, because like I said, from a technical standpoint, it is brilliant, it's suspenseful, it's entertaining, and it's just a great way to set the film off, tone and visual style and plot and everything. So yeah, the opening was really cool. The action, again, is great. Batman versus Bane is a really cool hand fight when they're in the sewer. I love that action scene because Batman's just getting the absolute shit kicked out of him by Bane, because Bane's, trained, is bigger, everything, whereas Bruce Wayne obviously has took an 8-year gap and he's having to wear sort of like supports, things like that, to keep his body together, because it's all broken. He's lost a lot of his muscle, and just basically overall structure. He's broken. He's literally a broken man. He had to use a walking stick in the beginning, and now he's using a leg brace to try and walk properly. And of course, when you're in that condition, you shouldn't really be fighting giant, muscly mercenaries who are being trained by the same people who be training you. Not that you should do any of that anyway. Do not try this at home. But yeah, he just, so the whole film is really about Batman trying to get over his defeats, his failures, and everything that had happened. It's, trying to rise above it, hence why it's called Dark Knight Rises. Of course, at the beginning, that doesn't work. He's not used to being Batman. He's in no position to just go up to new people and start fighting them. But it's about him trying again, getting better, training again. It's him basically doing the journey again, rediscovering himself as the hero for Batman, and it's really cool. So yeah, the action is cool. There's a lot of new cool equipment from Lucius Fox's Batman. You get the Bat Pod from the Dark Knight's back, but you also first get the Bat, which is sort of this helicopter hover jet thing. I don't really know what you would describe it as, but it's Bat. And that's really impressive. It looks really cool. The sequences using that are also really impressive to watch. Again, Christopher Nolan is great at effects, practical effects, everything like that. See, I'm guessing this film probably used some CGI, because, a lot of it would be very difficult to do if he didn't. But he does like to use a lot of models, I know that, so there'd have probably been quite a lot of them used as well. But yeah, so the special effects, cool. Hans Zimmer's music that he'd used from the previous films, but the new music he also wrote for this is fantastic. The Men Rises theme is really cool. I love it a lot. It's just brilliant, really suits the overall feel of the film, and adds a lot to what's going on. But this film also does create a very good sense of dread, because Bane takes over Gotham, holds it for ransom, not ransom, but sorry, like a stalemate. He's got the reactor that he's turned into the bomb, and he's like, I will, destroy Gotham if anyone tries to leave, or if anyone enters, and it's just got no rules, do what you want, have fun. Of course, though, the reactor is going to go off because, it's not plugged into the hub, so it's destabilizing. That's the word I was looking for. And will eventually go off. So Batman's got to try and get the bomb out of the city before that happens. But yeah, I really recommend this film. Obviously, if you watched the previous two and you enjoyed them, obviously I recommend you watch this one as well, because it is a continuation. It is the final chapter in it. It is really well done. Again, like the previous two, well directed, well written. Sorry, the writing is good. There's a lot of emotional moments, especially between Bruce Wayne and Alfred. As already mentioned, there are a lot of emotional discussions and callbacks to previous films and Batman Begins, previous film and Batman Begins as well. A lot with actually Batman Begins. So yeah, it's just a really good final chapter. The way it's shot, the way the fight's choreographed, the special effects as well, the writing, the emotional moments. This film also does a lot of good moments of dread. You get a good sense of dread from this film. So that's also, it's good. It balances the way it wants you to feel very well. There are some moments of humour, and they're funny. There's a lot of moments where it wants you to be excited, on the edge of your seat, and you are. There's a lot of moments where you want to be frightened, tense, because it's all what's going to happen, or this is bad, that sort of thing. And it does that really well. Literally everything it wants to do, it does really well. So yeah, I recommend this film. Just, you know, if you enjoyed the previous two, you'll enjoy this one as well. At least I think you will. You should do. So yeah, I'll probably give this film a 9.5 out of 10 for film quality, and its entertainment value is 10 out of 10 and beyond. Okay, so now I'll be talking about spoilers, going into analysis now. So, again, if you haven't watched the film, watch it first and then come back and watch this. You know, because I don't want to spoil it, but if you don't care, then that's up to you, but it's not my fault if it's spoiled for you, because obviously that's what I'm going to do now. As I mentioned earlier, with the negatives, the worst, this film has a terrible death, one of the worst deaths probably in film, and that is, of course, Miranda Tate's death, or Talia al Ghul, because she's revealed to be the villain of the film. The main villain. She's Ra's al Ghul's daughter, and she's now taken over the League of Shadows, and has come back to finish what her dad started and destroy Gotham. And for the most part, I really like her character. I really like her portrayal of the character, portrayal of her, sorry, and how she comes across. Her reveal I thought was really cool. How she plays, the innocent girl to the evil, queen, terrorist lady, whatever you want to describe her as. She does that really well. But when it comes to her character's death, I must admit it probably should have been filmed again. It was really bad, if I'm being honest. And I really like it, and I feel bad for saying that, but yeah, you really should have done a different take, because it's actually become a bit of a meme, being honest. How it's handled, how she plays it, and what she's saying, and everything about it. It just comes across as a bit of a meme. So get that one negative out the way in the spoilers. I really do like how Bruce Wayne and Alfred argue. Alfred's on one side saying, look, you shouldn't be Batman anymore. Batman's on this side and is like, I want to be Batman again. I have nothing else to live for. I've been miserable the last 8 years and I want to go back and do some good. And there's this new guy called Bane who's coming in and he's causing trouble. I want to go stop him. And Alfred, of course, and then finally says, well, if you go back to being Batman, I'm going to leave. And then proceeds to tell him that Rachel didn't love him and was going to leave him for Harvey Dent to try and prove that, she had already moved on before she had died. Why can't you move on now she has died? Or, because she's already dead, but she already moved on before she died. And of course Bruce Wayne gets understandably incredibly upset by this, and there's a huge falling out there. Alfred leaves. I don't think Bruce was expecting Alfred to actually leave, because the next morning he calls out for him and he's not there. Bruce Wayne then goes to find Bane with the help of Catwoman, who betrays him because she's working for Bane, and he gets the living shit kicked out of him, like broken, beaten, battered, everything.
Ah, yes! I was wondering what would break first. Your spirit? Oh, your buddy!
And is then taken away to a pit, thrown in somewhere. It doesn't actually say where, I don't think. He's then left there to rot, to die, but is told before he can die, you have to watch on this television me causing chaos in Gotham, the city you love, and watch how you failed the city and all the people living there.
You could watch me torture an entire city And then when you truly understood the depth of your failure, we will fulfill Ra's al Ghul's destiny. We will destroy Gotham. And then, when it is done, and Gotham is ashes, then you have my permission to die.
Bane then proceeds to destroy all the bridges apart from one in Gotham, to block off all the tunnels out of there, and just take over the city, block it off, and say to the people there, I am now in charge. You can do whatever you want. It's up to the people. You can go fight the corrupt. Help the oppressed. Go fight the people who kept you captive and have stopped you from enjoying, your life. Go basically do the purge, but every day and not just one day. And to motivate people, he then finds there was early on in the film. There's a holiday called Harvey Dent Day, and Gordon wrote a speech called "The Truth About Harvey Dent," and it actually had the truth about what Harvey did and what happened, and how Batman didn't actually kill him. He saved his boy, but he decided, to not tell everyone that, especially on Harvey Dent Day. That could have been really awkward, especially as he kept that for a secret for 8 years. But Bane somehow got his hands on the speech and reads it out. Of course, Joker in The Dark Knight was right. Once they found out what kind of a man Harvey Dent actually became, the city goes completely mental, everyone loses hope, or joins Bane's army. So that happens. The reactor mentioned has been kept on a moving lorry, and will destabilise and blow up in 5 months. They've got 5 months before it goes off. And obviously that might sound like a really long time, but when there's no army, no support, you're on your own, and there's this private army taking over your city, and Batman's nowhere to be found, obviously it doesn't really matter how long you have, there's not a lot you can do about it. So, whilst that's going on, Batman is trying to get physically fit, trying to get in the right mental state to try and climb out of this pit, because he was told a child did it, and he assumed the child was Bane, because Bane was born in that prison, or at least lived there for a really long time. He thought he was the child that was born in the prison, that lived there, and had escaped. And he's got to climb up so it's like a massive well he's got to climb up with, and he's using this rope to hold on whilst he grabs onto the bits of brick sticking out. And there's always this bit at the top where there's a jump between one platform, so it's about there, and another platform that's higher, with quite a big gap. He's got to try and jump from the lower one to the higher one. But the problem is the rope is sort of designed, well, to I don't think it's designed to not allow you to make it, but of course, once you've got that sort of sense of stability, you're not going to be as desperate as you would be had you had no rope. And the child had no rope because she was told, she was told to climb up during a riot, and there was no rope. So when the child climbed up and jumped, she had that sense of fear and dread that if she, missed, she would just fall. So she had that, she's got to make it, that determination. So Batman eventually does it without the rope, and eventually, jumps from one to the other. He manages to get out of the pit. And of course, as I mentioned, Bane was, with my hints, and then accidentally saying she, and then also having, I mentioned, Talia al Ghul, Miranda Tate, Talia al Ghul, whatever you want to call her. She was the child who grew up in the pit. She was a child who got out, because she's actually Ra's al Ghul's daughter.
You think you're the only one who could learn the strength to escape? Where's the trigger? I never escaped. But the child of Ra's al Ghul made the climb.
But he's not the the child of Ra's al Ghul. I am.
And because she was put in there, that her mum, when she was pregnant, was put in there for having a relationship with Ra's al Ghul, because he was the mercenary to protect a prince. I can't remember what the position of the man was, but she was his daughter, and he hired Ra's al Ghul to protect them, and they had an affair. So he was going to punish him, but she took his place instead. But she was pregnant when she was put in there. And of course, when he found out what had happened to her, he then came to find them, which the mum was dead. No, sorry, I got that wrong. Sorry, she found the dad. Sure, she found Ra's al Ghul, told him what had happened, that her mum was dead and she's his daughter. He then went there to kill everybody who killed his wife, to rescue Bane, who basically was her protector. He looked after her while she was living in the pit, and he's the one during the riot who told her to go climb up the side of the wall. And that's how his face got really injured, and that's why he needs the mask. I'm not going to attempt to do the voice, because I can't, and I would embarrass myself and then post it on YouTube, which I don't really want to do. I mean, you could possibly, if you really wanted to, you want to be harsh, you could say, I'm embarrassing myself right now, but I'm not going to embarrass myself anymore. Yeah, so there's that twist, all of that going on, and then him trying to get out of the pit, him trying to get over his fear. It's about fear again. It's, the first one was overcoming his fear, the second one was, can he actually do what he wants to do, and the third one is about him finally getting over everything and being able to prove that no, he can be the Batman, he can be the hero that Gotham needs and save everybody. And I love his relationship with Catwoman, because I really like Catwoman as a character. I always think Catwoman is because Batman has a lot of relationships, he goes with this girl, that girl, whatever. It's a bit James Bondy, they're in the film, and in the next film they've broken up and they're not really mentioned that much. But I do think Catwoman is the woman he should be with, because they are a lot alike. I mean, granted, one's a jewellery thief and the other one beats up criminals, but that duality, they're both people who have their life, their normal life, and then their life as this other person. And they both like dressing up in black and jumping off rooftops, so, perfect match in my opinion. And that's why in the original Tim Burton Batman Returns, I like to think in my head after that there is no third film. He then sort of gets a relationship with her, and I like to think of Batman Forever as a different universe. Though it could be the same thing, but because I do like Chase Meridian in the Batman Forever, but I do prefer Catwoman as a character. So in this film, I like that they acknowledge there's a relationship there, and eventually they get together. He has a bit of a relationship with Miranda Tate, but obviously as it turns out she's the head terrorist and tries to murder him. That relationship goes straight out the window, and he ends up going to live with Catwoman in France. A nice emotional moment, because Alfred early on in the film said, when you left Gotham for those years, and this is obviously when he went to train to become Batman, he said, I didn't want you to come back, not because he doesn't like him or anything like that, just because he says there's nothing for you here except from pain, misery. I knew you hated living here, just the pain of your parents' death, and you'll always be sad here. And I had this fantasy where I would go to France every year, and on an evening I would go to this cafe and order a drink, which I can't remember because it had a really long name, and I'm not going to try and remember what it was. I actually think I'm surely Bank. I don't know. So he ordered this drink and would often look at this other table and had this fantasy of Bruce Wayne sitting there with a wife, some kids, and obviously Bruce Wayne would never be there because he wasn't in France. He was in the Himalayas getting the shit kicked out of him by ninjas. But at the end of the film, because Bruce Wayne sacrifices himself to get rid of the bomb. You know, he gets the bomb because they've only got a couple minutes before it's going to detonate, so he gets it with the bat, flies it off, blows up. Turns out he survived though because he had fixed the autopilot. The problem is with the bat was there was no autopilot, and he had actually secretly fixed it, so then he could fake his death and go to live off a normal life with a new identity. And he takes Catwoman with him, and at the end of the film, after their fallout, and after Alfred thinks he's dead and it's all sad and all of that, Alfred goes to that cafe, sits down, orders the drink, looks across, and there's Bruce Wayne with Selina Kyle, and it's really nice, and I love the way they end that, his character on that bit. So I'm glad those two end up together. I'm glad Alfred doesn't spend the rest of his life thinking he failed Bruce Wayne and Bruce Wayne's died hating him, because that would be really depressing. So I'm glad they didn't do that. You know, I like the darkness, but I don't want it to just end on, yeah, everyone's dead and everyone's unhappy, this sucks. That would be bad. And he also lets everybody else know he lived. He let Gordon live. He let Gordon live. Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't try to kill Gordon. He let Gordon know he was alive by fixing the bat signal. Actually, no, he didn't. I don't think he let Blake know he was alive. Yeah, he didn't let Blake know he lived. Probably left Gordon to tell him that. Lucius Fox knew he survived because he found out that the bat had its autopilot repaired.
Why are we even worrying about the stabilization software? This entire autopilot system is completely obsolete.
Please, I just need to know what I could have done to fix it.
But, Mr. Fox, it's already been fixed. Software patch. 6 months ago.
Check the ID on the patch.
Bruce Wayne.
And all that, but poor Blake didn't get told, because fuck him. No, I'm sure he found out somehow. And he leaves Blake for Batcave, so Blake is implied to become the new Batman. And Blake actually isn't his name, his birth name is Robin. You know, little Easter egg there. You know, little character, you might have heard of him, I don't know, but Robin, not many people know who he is. Don't try Humour Jack, it doesn't work. But yeah, so he becomes Batman or Robin or Nightwing or Red Robin or Red Hood or Batman Beyond or Azrael or something person, Blake, Batman, Robin, Nightwing, combined, Power Ranger, Force, whatever he chooses his name to be, because there's a lot of names he could end up becoming. He goes out and does Batman stuff, or at least implied that he's doing that. You know, I'm not sure how well that would go, because he is just a policeman, so... I'm not saying policemen are bad, but I'm not sure that your average copper should dress up like that and try to ninja fight people. I don't know how well that would go. I'm sure he'll be fine. I think a lot of people didn't. I don't think a lot of people like that they left it to him. I didn't mind. I like joking about it because someone did point out it is the equivalent of a trained sniper giving their son the rifle and saying, you know, go snipe, and only expecting good things to happen. Just because you're trained doesn't mean he is. But I'm sure he was fine. Would end on a really bad note if they said he died on his first night on patrolling the city. I'm sure he lived. I'm sure he's doing well, whatever it is he's doing. A lot of good chase sequences actually. It was really difficult to talk about and review this film without mentioning spoilers, because this film's so long and all the really cool bits about it are spoilers, and the one thing I don't like about it is also a spoiler, so you know, it's quite difficult to talk about. The chase scene at the stock exchange was really cool, between Bane trying to steal Bruce Wayne's money. He's trying to steal something, I can't remember what he was stealing. Or was he just getting access to it? He was doing something to I can't remember. He was trying to get access to the Wayne Enterprises financial everything. So that was really bad. to basically make Bruce Wayne go bankrupt. So Daggett, who's a company he's working with, can buy Wayne Enterprises. Miranda Tate comes in and buys Wayne Enterprises, which is actually what he wanted to happen because he's in leagues with Talia al Ghul. So he was using this other company to give him the money to pay for the equipment to set up his plan up. So the other company can buy Wayne Enterprises behind that other company's back, so he can then get the bomb from Wayne Enterprises to hold the city to ransom, to also get all the equipment like all the Batmobiles and everything at Wayne Enterprises to take over the city. And convoluted plan, but cool plan. It works, but you know, company to pretend to buy company to get a different company to actually buy the company behind that other company's back, and then kill the leader of that company, and then really long convoluted plan. Again, like I said, works though, and it is quite cool, and I do like the way it plays out. But anyway, the chase sequence from the stock exchange, get back to that, was really cool. It's the first time Bruce Wayne comes back as Batman. His entrance is awesome. I love it. It's actually quite funny as well, in all fairness, but I love it. It's just such a cool comeback to being Batman.
Sorry.
Put that thing away before you hurt yourself. Get it.
So yeah, I love that scene. The chase sequence where the lorry's got the bomb and it's got tumblers and Catwoman's on the Bat Pod and Batman's in the Bat helicopter jet, whatever it is, and he's chasing after them as well. That scene was really cool as well. The fight between the policeman and Bane's private army towards the end of the film, again, was really cool. Just, this film does have a lot of cool action sequences, although it does have one of the funniest film errors, where Batman and Catwoman are fighting a bunch of criminals, and there's this extra in the background who is going up to them, fists up, yeah, he's going to fight, and you can tell he actually didn't want to be punched because he just falls over for no reason. Literally goes up to Batman like this, and then just goes like that, just falls over. Doesn't get hit, doesn't do anything, just falls over, and it's actually quite funny. And you can see it in the film. If you look in the corner, there's this guy just sort of like dancing with his fists up, and then Batman's even got his back to him. He's not even facing his direction, he just falls over. So yeah, that's quite funny. Quite a funny little error there. But other than things, a few little extra errors with the fight scenes, they're all really cool. The effects are cool. The opening action sequences with Two-Plane, like I mentioned, really cool. Chases, really cool. Underground fight, cool. Every fight in this film was really well done. Oh, when the police in the alleyway was really cool as well. And that was quite cool. Catwoman had a great scene there where she's kidnapped the governor and she took him to this deal that she's going to do. And she makes them use his phone without them realising it. So when, of course, they double cross her, the police, the FBI arrive, and she does this really cool thing where she becomes this action person, kills them all, and then the FBI break into the room, and she then lies on the floor crying, pretending to be this innocent woman, and as soon as they leave, she goes back to being Catwoman. I thought that was quite a cool scene.
Keep some pressure on that, sweetheart.
Call me?
So yeah, that was one of my favourite moments with her in the film. That was quite funny. But yeah, again, that action sequence is cool. IMAX again, really cool. Yeah, that's the other thing, because again, like Dark Knight, I'm saying again too many times, sorry. This film was shot on IMAX, quite a lot of it. I recommend the Blu-ray version or the 4K version. I have got the 4K box set. right here, again, I really recommend the 4K box set, but if you don't have 4K, I recommend Blu-ray. Just so you can get the, the good quality, get the IMAX aspect ratio and all of that, and it'll be really cool. It'll be worth it, trust me. Those films are worth the HD treatment, or Ultra HD. So yeah, I recommend that, and I also recommend it on disc. I recommend you get the disc version, because unless you've got really good internet, Ultra HD or HD is never really HD or Ultra HD, online or anything like that. I recommend a hard copy of it, because it's just worth it. So yeah, I really do recommend this film. I really do. Some people, it's a bit of a weird one. People either love it or hate it. I don't know why you would hate it. I can understand why it's not your favourite out of the trilogy. I understand why it's not the best one. Again, I think it's great. It's just not the best. They're all brilliant. It's just the least brilliant. But I don't know why people hate it. I think that's a bit harsh. I think people are so... I think that's the problem, isn't it? Is that nowadays you're not allowed to like something. You're not allowed to really like something. You got to either defend it till you're deaf, or hate it. And I don't know why. I don't know why you can't be like, yeah, it's good, or it's really good. You have to be like, yeah, it's the best thing ever, or it's shit, why the fuck did they make that? So, I don't know. But yeah, personally, I love the film. It's really well made. It's a great final installment to a trilogy. It wraps everything up in a really nice little bow. All the callbacks to the previous films and the way it continues the story, and then of course finishes it. Really well done, really well made, really well written. Every character has a decent amount of screen time, their own purpose, their own everything, and it is just really, really well made. I can't recommend it enough. Like I said, if you enjoyed the other two, I really recommend this one. It's a great final installment into the film saga, the trilogy. So yeah, I really, 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 really recommend this film. It's just really good. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. So again, sorry for how long it's took to do this, and how long it's going to continue to take to edit it, all of that, and I apologise. And I didn't want to make a video about this, not because I don't think it's worth, at least at the moment I didn't want to. I wanted to focus on this one because I wanted to, do the review, and I know it sounds bad, but I just wanted to get another review out. I felt bad for how long it's been. But of course, between this video, previous one, terrible, terrible news about Chadwick Boseman. I know that's Marvel, completely unrelated, and though I'm a huge DC fan, I do like Marvel, and his death is a huge tragedy. He was an incredible actor, truly an inspiration to every human being on this planet. Him doing this whilst doing the treatment, everything, he was just incredible, and it is such a shame, but he will be remembered just because of how fantastic he was. Even if you take the career aspect out of it, he was just a really nice and genuine guy, and of course you add in everything else he did. He's just brilliant, fantastic guy. He was just great. So yeah, I'll probably do a video about him and his stuff after these reviews, but I just wanted to say at the time, I didn't want to not mention it for now, so I just thought I would say it here. He was fantastic, because wherever I'm part of the DC group a lot. I do love Marvel. I was a huge Marvel fan, but I have slowly started going more to DC. But no matter if you're a Marvel fan, you're a DC fan, you love one, you hate the other, both Marvel and DC now have both lost incredible actors, way too young. DC with Heath Ledger, Marvel with Chadwick Boseman. So we both know what, no matter what side you're on, you both know what it's like to lose an incredible actor way too early. But you also know you need to remember them and appreciate the time you got and the films you got with them. So yeah, that's that just out the way there. Not out the way. I don't mean that like out the way, but You know, I've talked about it for now, but yeah, he was great. His films are great. So yeah, just wanted to add that in. So thank you for watching. Again, like I said, watch the film, but I keep doing this. I keep saying buy it on 4K and this and that, watch it on this bit. I should really, remember to do it earlier on, because this is spoilers. But again, like I said, if you have watched it, then cool. If you haven't, and you don't care about the spoilers, I still recommend you go watch it anyway, because it is just so really cool. Okay, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you soon. Thanks.